Hey folks, Doug Blake with Body Design University. In this video, I want to talk to you about two, maybe one of the issues related to the trans theoretical model, often called the stages of change. So generally, it just depends on who you read and who you talk to. We normally will look, especially in the training industry, five uh, components to the stages of change, or five stages of change, right? So pre-contemplation, you probably already know this: pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance. Now, again, depending on if you want to kind of go outside of that, you can look at this after this maintenance phase. There could be an additional phase that people go into as well. The understanding is that people will move in and out of these stages, but there's a whole lot more to it if you want to dig into it. But in this video, I just want to be really, really specific as to two or one of the stages that we look at, and that's going to be the preparation and the action stage. Now, just as a side light here, the maintenance stage, if you get somebody that you've never met before and they want to train with you, but they're already exercising, they've been doing it for years, you're just the closest trainer that they've heard good things about you, and they're in the maintenance stage and they're coming to you, just want to train with you. That's great. I've had many types of folks like that over the years. They're exercising. In some cases, they are sort of athletic or pre-athletic. They want to try to do like a 5K or a 10K for the first time. But again, they're exercising, they're eating fairly decent. And now they're coming to you for maybe additional assistance. That individual technically is quote maintenance, especially if they've been obviously been doing it for the 6 months or longer, that we categorize maintenance stage folks kind of being in 6 months longer, even if they drop off for a week or two. So the maintenance stage of the TTM, if you get those folks, not that big of an issue. They're generally going to just continue where they've kind of left off and start working with you, and that's great. But the two most challenging, this is where I get questions from students all the time. The two most challenging to either differentiate or work with to get them to become clients is the preparation stage and the action stage. Now, again, there's a lot of information on this, and there are some pretty specific ways and questions you can ask people to determine which one of those stages that they're in. But at the end of the day, it's always about what they're doing, what the action is that they are taking, not action stage, but the action that they're in, the behaviors that they are manifesting. So you can have an individual, we see this all the time. They come in, they sign up at a health club or gym or personal training studio, whatever the case, in January, right? Because that's when everybody makes their annual, I'm going to do this and I'm going to move forward with my training, right? So that's great. You can have individuals, quite a few of them, by the way, that you think are in the quote action stage. That means they're actually working and exercising now. But that's a misunderstanding of the trans theoretical model, because in the stages of change, or the TTM trans theoretical model, those terms that we use, those are psychological. They are not just behavioral. In other words, just because a person is signing up for a health club membership doesn't mean they're in the action stage. They might be physically taking action and going to the health club if they really want to. Quite often, those individuals are psychologically still in the preparation stage. And I would personally, I would warrant that some of them are still somewhat in the contemplation stage. And they have a personality type where when they're contemplating something, they just blast right past, preparation and just go, I'll just sign up at a health club. Again, we see this all the time. It's what, for the most part, drives the sales engine, marketing and sales engine for the modern day big box gym, is the idea that if we sell 1,000 memberships in January, we'll probably see 10% of those individuals actually continue into February. I'm not going to get into that part of it, but the point is how do you discern whether a person is in the preparation stage or the action stage. Remember, in the TTM model, we are talking about psychological condition, a psychological condition. They're preparing, but what some people do in their preparing to move into an action stage behavioral change in their life is actually take the step forward and sign up for that class or sign up for, that whatever it is they're signing up for. They purchase supplements. They do these things. They buy the weight gym or the weights to have a home gym. They just, an impulse, they just buy it. They're still in the prep, psychologically, they're in the preparation stage. Remember, the defining difference between preparation and action is that in the action stage, that individual has actually started the behavior, the new behavior, or ended the negative bad behavior, i.e., stop smoking. And now they do it for a specific period of time. Now, depending on the research you read and people you talk to, it could be 3 weeks, 6 weeks, or excuse me, 6 weeks could be 3 months. I like the 6 month framework. I mean, especially for exercise, making behavioral change from an exercise perspective. I like kind of the 6 month mark, but again, really smart folks will tell you, no, that 6 months, they're in the maintenance stage at this point. Okay, that's fine. I've just seen too many individuals, even at the 3, 4, 5, 6 month mark, still display behaviors that they're just not, even though they've been doing it, maybe they're getting results or not, they're just not into it. Now, again, that could be that they were in the action stage and now they've flipped back over into the maybe the preparation or um, contemplation stage. I don't know. I will say this, I'm not really interested. At some point, it really doesn't interest me anymore if they're in the action or maintenance, because as a trainer, my job is to encourage, motivate, and provide the sort of psychological impetus. By the way, I got to get the changes also, the reduction in body fat or whatever the goals were. But I have to provide that impetus for them to want to continue to do this in the action and ultimately into what's known as the maintenance stage. So again, how do I know if you're in the preparation versus act? I got to ask questions. So again, what I really want you to get from this video and this kind of explanation is that don't be too quick. Because if you think that an individual is in the quote action stage when in fact psychologically they're still in the preparation stage, you'll lose them. You will. It's one of the reasons why health clubs, right, in their first quarter sell 90 to 95% of all of their memberships in their first quarter. And half of that is within the first 2 to 3 weeks or even first month of the year. Now, I guess that's important from a purely financial perspective, but when it comes to actually helping people and getting them into the ultimately into the lifestyle change that's supposed to take them for the long term, that ain't helpful. So again, as a trainer, and let's just say you are working in the big box gym, part of what you would want to do is talk to individuals. Maybe they're not even your clients, but they could potentially be clients at some point in the future. I've always told all of the trainers that I ever worked with, it's a good idea for those individuals that come in that we know are into preparation. Clearly, they're in, either contemplation or preparation. If they've actually signed up and come in, that's great. Now, what we want to do is help them and ease them into either the culture of the club or the facility, in this case, or do a little bit with them and kind of manage their goals to something a little bit more realistic than coming in twice a day for 6 days a week, down to maybe 2 or 3 times a week in some cases. I know that has always been an effective way to help people manage their expectations as to what they're going to get. And I'm talking just from the perspective of talking to individuals, for instance, in a health club. If you've got your own personal training business, that individual that comes down to do a initial free consultation with you, they're clearly going to be generally in the preparation stage. It's what you say, how you talk to them that will either guide them, push them, if they can afford it, into that action stage where they will now purchase for instance, a personal training package from you. And then, of course, it's your job to ensure that they are encouraged and motivated to continue all the way through the action stage. I say 6 months, maybe if it's a little bit longer, into the maintenance stage. So can't really tell action versus preparation, other than the fact that if they are, I'm going to be able to kind of pull it out of them in some questioning. And then, irrespective of where they're at, if they're in preparation, action, I'm going to try as best I can to guide, encourage, and motivate them to start the process of either training with me, or again, if you're doing just like floor training in a health club, get them to come in on a regular, consistent basis and get them to affirm that they are actually going to be doing 3 or 4 days a week to come in, versus overdoing it, especially when they first start, coming in 6 days a week. Okay. Going from 0 to 60, right? That's just not how it's going to be effective for them. If they're in the preparation stage, they're out. They might come in a couple of times, but then they're out. If they're in the action stage, they might stay a little bit longer. But remember, in the action stage, an individual can go right over a certain period of time into the maintenance stage. Yay, that's what we want. Or quite often we see them because they've overstepped. They've overstepped. They put too much on their plate. They have made their expectations are way too high. Their goals are way too extreme for where they are at psychologically, and they may be in the action, starting in that action stage, going through it, whoop, and then they divert because they can't maintain the schedule that they would like to, or the eating, or any of the other variables that go into this. So I hope that's helpful, because quite often we start to think too academically about, are they in the prep? I need to find out they're in preparation. By the way, there are questions, of course, you can ask folks and kind of discern where they're at. But in the end, as a trainer, your goal is always, I don't care if they're in pre-contemplation. You talk to them, you guide them, you help them, you ask them questions, you get them to think, contemplate, and try and move them into these further and further stages. And then I will say again, the key to the preparation or action stage is you, as the trainer, stepping in and being the impetus for encouragement and motivation. Done correctly, you can help people navigate through the action stage into maintenance. And hopefully that is going to be the case. If this was helpful going through this little video, please let me know by writing the word understand in the comment section. Of course, there's a lot more to this. I can dig deeper and deeper and deeper. And if you'd like me to do that, of course, you can just go ahead and write that in the comment section as well. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel. Give us a thumbs up, right? If it was good and it was helpful. And there's no reason why you can't share a video like this with friends and families and other folks who you might know. So let us know how we can be of additional assistance. It's great talking to you. Have a great week. We'll see you next week.